There's a key piece that, one thing I do want to just point out and make sure we're clear on, we're not going to be restoring the bank or taking out to where the common area of the subdivision was. I'm sorry, but that is gone, and for us to restore that, not only would it be engineering feat of cost and magnitude that we cannot do, but you'd also start running back into the same problem again eventually, because you'd be jutting out into the channel, and we don't want to do something that's just going to happen all over again. We want to have a permanent fix. Brian had mentioned the stormwater rate. This is where one potential issue comes in, and I'm going to give you some background so this kind of all makes sense. If I don't make sense at any point, please speak up, because we've been through a lot of ruminations of this, and a lot of changes over the last year since we first came out and talked to you. If something doesn't make sense versus what we said last time, just point it out so I can explain to it, because a lot of things have changed with our stormwater rate. When we first took the stormwater funding proposal to our rate commission, there was going to be an impervious charge, which is a charge for impervious surface that customers have on the property. That is to say, area that does not soak up rainwater, like a hot home, driveway, something that causes runoff. We're going to charge for that. Those monies we're going to pay for just the maintenance of our sewer system. That work is which we're supposed to do on a district-wide basis. There is also going to be a property tax that we have proposed to our board that would replace all the other taxes that we raise, and by each major watershed we would propose a property tax that voters would vote on, and that property tax would fund a set of specific services for each watershed. And those services could have been something like creek erosion or something similar to that nature. It really varies from watershed to watershed. After reviewing the proposal, our rate commission said, no, don't do the taxes, pay for everything through an impervious rate, period. So you don't have any vote, you don't run any problems like that. These are truly stormwater services, you need to provide them. So based on the rate commission's recommendation, the board action, and the most recent rate proposal we took to the board, we now have in place a impervious rate which charges 12 cents for every 100 square feet of impervious area you have on your property. Over the next 7 years, that is going to go up to 29 cents per 100 square feet. The first few years of that rate, as we collect it, again, it's going to go for the work which we are supposed to be doing but can't do. That's the maintenance of the sewer system. As Brian mentioned, in about 3-4 years, we start collecting additional funds as that rate goes higher, and those funds are meant to provide funding for services such as this: creek erosion, overland flooding, perhaps culvert maintenance, a litany of issues that are throughout the area. Technically, we do not provide this service right now, but I mean, we've thought long and hard about this. This is really probably the most pressing issue in the district, based on the fact that it's a clear and present threat to your homes, your domiciles. And on that basis, we feel very confident that we have the latitude within our policy and all laws and everything else that we can move forward on this without having those enhanced funds coming in yet. As Brian mentioned, what we're going to do in effect is take a loan from another fund, pay for this up front, and in a few years when we start collecting those funds, we'll just repay it and get that squared away. There is a caveat here. The stormwater rate which we put in place, it took us years to get it together, because there are a number of laws here in the state of Missouri, particularly the Hancock Amendment, which restrict how you implement rates, how you charge for rates, so on and so forth. We believe we have met all the criteria, and legally we have a very sound stormwater rate in place. That would not stop someone, an individual or a group of individuals, from filing a lawsuit against us on the implementation of that stormwater rate. Conceivably, a judge could say it's a valid argument, they slap a restraining order on us, and we can't raise funds anymore. Or we may be put in a position where we have to make a policy decision if a lawsuit is filed against us, that we have to make some sort of decision based on what we know, and if we continue raising the funds or not. If that lawsuit happens and our ability to levy that rate is hampered in any way, it could cause a problem funding this project. Now, how likely is it? It's tough to say. It really depends if someone out there, an individual group, is going to file a lawsuit. We feel, again, very confident about the soundness of the rate, the legality of it. We spent a lot of time on that. We believe we'd win, but as you can imagine, lawsuits take a number of years to filter out, so on and so forth. We're committed to moving though as quickly as possible on this project. We'll get the funds from that loan from another fund, and we'll get it banged out. But if that lawsuit is filed, there could be some bridges that we have to cross. If it's filed between now and the end of the project, there may be some bridges that we have to cross. What those bridges are, I can't tell you at this point. I don't know. It would depend on what happens. I just want to make you aware of that it is something that is out there, and we just all need to be very aware of it, because the possibility is that, and I don't want this coming up and giving you hope, and then at the last minute having to take away from you for some reason. Any questions on that? Did I make sense when I explained that?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, all right.
Too much sense.
Yeah.
What factors are we using or is going to be used to determine whether or not this works? The temporary fix and or the permanent fix?
Whether it works.
Right. How are we, what are we using, what are we looking for to see, hey, it's okay to start, reinvesting in our homes and backfilling? What are we looking for as far as signs that, the water's slowing down and we're not losing any more property, et cetera, et cetera?
It's engineered to work now, but with a biostabilization area, like everything's engineered to work.
Sure.
Okay, so
Until it doesn't work.
it's engineered to work. Usually with the biostabilization area, the one thing you're worried about is, did the plants take?
Right.
Okay, and that is there will be usually a 3-year period where you go back and you keep looking how things are growing. Things aren't working, you'll make corrections, those types of things. After about 3 years, you can pretty much let it be on its own, and it'll act like nature intended it to, and it will make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Nationwide, everybody's been successful doing that so it doesn't get lost. Locally, with the few areas we have taxes where we've done this kind of work, we've done the same thing, we've never had a problem. It's never failed. We have, the companies are doing this design. Lance was mentioning, we have just one person who understands this in the office, and she understands it pretty good. But the people are designing, one company's name is Parsons Infrastructure, large national, I think they are the 18th largest consulting engineer in the country. They are the prime, and they've got local resources. We have a local engineer called Wrights and Gens. And they are a master and an expert at soils, biostabilization. As a matter of fact, just brought a new person in from Massachusetts who's an expert at this, who's working on this project. So, and I'm only giving you that with regard to what the engineering is. We probably have the best engineering resources we could on this to make sure it's engineered properly. We're not taking it on the short. We're going with the best we've got, because if this is the kind of thing, if you do it, you don't want it to. We don't want anything to fail, but this has catastrophic consequences in it.
Sure.
And if we do put it in and it starts to fail, we now have the stormwater rate in place where we can do something about it. But let me caution though, you'll fall on a priority list at that point, and you may not be the most pressing issue for dollars to go towards. But like Brian said, this is what, based on our engineering knowledge that we have, this is what we believe the fix it is. We're fixing it to fix it for good, or we're building it to fix it for good.
As far as I know, the final design hasn't
Right.
been done yet, but is it basically from Vance Road? Can you show
It
me
will
on the
be,
map?
there will be we will put a temporary fix here. What we'll design is some kind of permanent fix. Here, assuming the erosion goes from here to in here, which is where it looks like it is, 100 feet. You might go 100 feet past that, pick up what exists, and morph into what you want the section to look like, so that you have a fix here, and wherever that ends, you might take 100 feet to warp it in so that it matches what the existing is. Just, again, you can imagine you don't want some kind of edge or something where one starts and the other ends, because that'll be a place for failure.
Right.
And we will bring those together that way. They'll actually excavate some of the good slope that's sitting to be able to key in the improvement to make sure they kind of act as one.